How you doing? I'm Big D. What I'd like to talk to you about today, after welcome you, thank you for stopping in and spending a few minutes of your day with me, is there's 8 states eliminating property taxes, or at least they're trying to push this. Eliminating property taxes permanently. Before you move, before you start packing, watch my show. All right, let's see. Try to listen very carefully because I'm about to tell you something that could save you thousands of dollars every single year for the rest of your life. I haven't been an investor continually, but I did invest in a couple of homes in my past. I wish I pushed out there and purchased other ones, maybe as rental properties, but I didn't. I should have, because now the people that tried to push me into it, I could see where they're at. You know, they're already fully retired after 20, 30 years of doing what I was told I should do, and I didn't. But this doesn't. This can still help you save thousands of dollars. Now I'm going to tell you something that's happening right now that could completely change your financial future. 8 states are making moves to either eliminate or drastically reduce property taxes. And you're in one of the states possibly right now. Who knows? Now, before I tell you exactly which states there are and what's actually happening, I need you to do something. Hit the subscribe button. I'm new within the less than a year, trying to build this show, and algorithm really likes it when you have subscribers. And if you can hit the like button and leave a comment, that would help out considerably as well. I like to do this into my retirement. I have a couple more years, so I'm going to start building this now and hope and pray that you'll be coming back and checking out what I have to say. I have a lot of knowledge. I'm not always perfect, but I think you're going to like what you hear. I don't play games. I do the research. I come up with a scenario. I vet it to see how real the information is before I bring it to you. Now, I don't want to waste your time, and I expect you to understand that. I'm not here to just clickbait. This is something that I do believe you would be interested in hearing if you watch it to the end. Here's the truth that nobody in government wants you to understand. Property taxes are the most unfair, most oppressed, most destructive tax that exists in American history. Now, think about it. You buy a house, you pay for it with the money that's already been taxed. You pay income tax on the money that you earned to buy that house. Then you pay sales tax on, or transfer tax when you buy it. Then every single year for the rest of your life, the government sends you a bill saying you owe them some money just for owning something that you already own. You never truly own your property. You're basically renting it from the government. Maybe if you pick your home up and go someplace else, and you might own it. You might own that piece, but you don't own the property it's on. Now stop paying your property taxes and see what happens. They'll take your house. They'll auction it off. You will lose everything. Does that sound like ownership to you? It doesn't to me. It sounds like extortion. It sounds like theft with a legal stamp on it. And I'm not the only one who thinks this way. I'm sure you might be thinking the same thing before you even clicked on. Millions of Americans are waking up to this reality, and in some states, politicians are finally listening. They're realizing that property taxes are killing the middle class, forcing seniors out of their own homes because they can't make the payments any longer, and make it impossible for young people to build wealth through home ownership. I see this all the time. Friends and family that have lost homes. People who worked their entire lives, paid off their mortgages. Now they retire on a fixed income, and every year their property taxes go up. The country reassesses their home, or the county reassesses their home. The value goes up because the market went up. And suddenly their property tax is $8,000, $10,000, $12,000 a year. Maybe you're the lucky ones that are, $2,000, $3,000, $4,000. They just can't afford it. They're living on Social Security and small pension. So they have to sell their house they raised their kids in, the house they spent 30 years paying for, just to escape the property tax. That's wrong. That's fundamentally wrong. And here's what makes it even worse. Your property taxes pay for local services, school, police, fire department, roads. I get it. These things need to be funded. But here's the problem. When you're retired, you're not using the schools anymore. Your kids are grown. You're not benefiting from half of what your taxes pay for. But you still have to pay for the full amount. And if you can't pay, they take your house. How is that fair? How is that justifiable? How is that justice? The system is broken. It's been broken for decades, and it's getting worse. In the past 20 years, property taxes have increased faster than inflation, faster than wages, faster than almost anything else. The average American owner is paying 50% in property taxes today than they were paying 15 years ago. Let that sink in. 50% more. Your house didn't get 50% bigger. The services didn't get 50% bigger, but the tax bill went up 50%. And I'm sure you got a lot of new companies in your area that should be footing more of the bill than you. New restaurants, new companies, there's always something that comes in. But don't they give them huge tax breaks for 20, 30 years? Yeah. I know what some of you are thinking. Property taxes fund essentially services. We need them. Listen, I'm not saying we don't need to fund schools and police and roads. I'm saying that there are better ways to do it. Sales tax, income tax, user fees. There are options that don't threaten to take away your home. If you fall on hard times, property taxes are a lazy way for governments to generate revenue. They're easy to collect, they're predictable, and they're brutally unfair to anyone who is on a fixed income or who owns property in an area that appreciated. My apologies. They're living who own property in an area that appreciating rapidly. Let me give you an example for how insane the system is. At least my opinion. Let me know what your opinion is in the comment section. Let's say you bought a house in Austin, Texas in 2010 for $200,000. You paid it off over 15 years. You made the last mortgage payment in 2025. Finally, you own your home free and clear. But guess what? Your house is now worth $600,000 because Austin's real estate market exploded. Your property taxes were maybe $4,000 a year when you bought the house. Now it's $12,000 a year. You tripled it. You didn't make any more money. You retired. But your tax bill tripled because other people were willing to pay more for houses in your neighborhood. How is that your problem? How is that fair that you get punished because the market went up? This is what happens all over America. In Denver and Phoenix and Nashville, Boise, cities and towns across the country, people are being taxed out of their homes not because they can't afford the house. It's because they can't afford the taxes on the house. It's a crisis, and most politicians don't care because property taxes don't affect them the same way that they affect regular people. if you're realizing that property taxes are a bigger problem than you thought, if you start to get angry about it, how much you're paying every year, do me a favor, hit that like button, leave a comment. It helps the video reach more people. And if you don't mind sharing this video with others and your friends and family, I would appreciate that as well. I think a lot of people need to hear this message. And drop a comment below. Tell me how much you do like paying your property taxes every year, or if you hate it. I already know the answer. But leave it in the comment section. Hate or love? Now, what states are you in? Are you struggling to afford your property taxes? Let me know. I read the comments and I want to hear your story because I guarantee other people are going through the same thing. And if you leave a comment for me, I will leave a comment for you. Let's get into the 8 states that are making moves to eliminate or drastically reduce property taxes. Now, I want to be very clear about something up front. When I say eliminate, I don't mean every single one of these states have already passed the law that say property taxes are gone tomorrow, okay? What I mean is that these states either have an active legislation, ballot initiatives, serious proposals from governors or state legislators, or existing programs that are moving in that direction. Some are further along than others, but all 8 of these states are taking real action. This isn't fantasy. This isn't some pipe dream. This is actually happening, and you need to pay attention because this could change where you choose to live. Or if it's in your state, you never know. It could benefit you. How much money you keep in retirement, that could help you as well because of no tax or drastically reduced tax in a state that you end up retiring in. State number 1, Texas. Texas has been moving aggressively to reduce and eventually eliminate tax on the properties, especially for seniors and people with disabilities. I love that state. I've considered that state as well for my retirement home. But now Texas doesn't have state income tax, which is great. That's one of the reasons why millions of people have moved to Texas over the last decade. But they make up for it with some of the higher property tax rates in the country. The average property tax rate is in Texas around 1.6, 1.8%. That might not sound like much, but on a $400,000 house, you're paying $6,400 to $7,200 a year, forever. And in some countries, especially counties around Houston and Austin, the rates are even higher. But here's what's happening. The Texas legislature has been passing increasingly generous homestead exemptions and tax freezes. If you're over 65 in Texas, you can freeze your school district property tax. They can't go up forever. As long as you live in that house, your school taxes are frozen at the level they were when you turn 65. That's huge. School taxes are typically 50 to 60% of your total property tax. So you're locking in more than half of your tax permanently. Even if your home value doubles or triples, your school tax stays the same. Let me tell you what this means in real dollars. Let's say you're 64 years old, your property tax bill is $8,000 a year. Of that, $4,800 is school tax. You turn 65 and you file for the exemption. Your school tax freezes at $4,800. 10 years later, your house has gone from $350,000 to $600,000. Without that freeze, the school tax would have been about $8,200. But because you have because they have freeze that to only $4,800, you save $3,400 a year over 20 years. That's $68,000 you keep instead of giving it to the school district. Now that's real money. But it gets better. There's growing movement in Texas to eliminate property taxes entirely and replace the revenue with a higher sales tax or other consumption-based taxes. Several bills have been introduced in the state legislature. Governor Abbott has expressed support for property tax relief as a top priority. He's made it a centerpiece of his agenda, and that there are grassroots organizations pushing for a constitutional amendment to ban property taxes altogether. Now, will this happen overnight? No. Texas is a big state with a lot of different interests. The school district, the districts that don't want to lose their funding, some counties are resistant, but the momentum is real. In the 2023 legislative session, Texas passed the largest property tax relief package in state history, sending billions of dollars back to the homeowners through increased exemptions. And they're not stopping there. The goal is to continue reducing property taxes year after year until they eliminate the four primary residents. If the state has the political will and the economic strength to do it, it's Texas. I think they're going to get it done. They have no state income tax. So they're not giving up that revenue. They have a strong economy, lots of businesses, a growing population. You can afford to make this transition. And the political pressure is enormous. Texans are furious about property taxes. It's the number one issue in local elections. Politicians don't address it, are getting voted out. So expect more aggressive actions from Texas and in the coming years. State number 2, Florida. Florida is another state with no income tax, relatively high property taxes to compensate. But Florida has some of the most generous homestead exemptions in the country. If you live in your home as a primary residence, you get $50,000 exemption right off the top. On a $300,000 house, you only pay taxes on $250,000. Now, to save, that saves about $1,000 to $1,500 a year, depending on your local rate. But here's where it gets really good. Florida has a Save Our Homes cap that limits how much your assets value can increase each year. Your assessment can only go up from a maximum of 3% per year, no matter how much the actual market value increases. So if you bought a home in, say, Miami for $200,000, and now it's worth $800,000, you are paying taxes on $800,000. You're paying taxes on maybe $350,000 or $400,000 because your assessment has been capped at 3% growth per year. That's enormous benefit. Let me show you the math because this is incredible. You buy a home in 2004 for $200,000. Your assessed value starts at $150,000. After the $50,000 homestead exemption, each year it can increase to 3%. After 20 years, your assessed value is about $270,000. If the market value of your home is now $800,000, your neighbor who just bought an identical house is paying taxes on $750,000. After their homestead exemption, they're paying taxes on $270,000 at a 2% effective tax rate. You're paying $15,000. You're paying $15,000 a year. You're paying $5,400 a year. You're saving $9,600 every single year because you've owned a house longer. And Save Our Homes cap protects you, and there's more. If you're over 65 and meet certain income requirements, you can get an additional exemption of $50,000, of up to $50,000. Now, if you're a veteran with a service-connected disability, you might qualify for a total exemption. You pay nothing, zero. If you're a first responder who was permanently disabled in the line of duty, total exemption. If you're a surviving spouse of a military member or a first responder killed in the line of duty, total exemption. Florida has been layering in exemptions and caps for years, effectively eliminating property taxes for many seniors and veterans. And there are ongoing discussions in Tallahassee about expanding their programs even further. Some legislators have proposed increasing the homestead exemption to $75,000 or even $100,000. Others have proposed lowering the income threshold for senior exemptions so more people qualify. The trend is clear. Florida wants to reduce property taxes, especially for residents who've been there a long time and for people on fixed incomes. And here's something most people don't know. Florida also has a property tax portability rule. If you move from one Florida home to another, you can take your savings, your Save Our Homes benefit with you. Let's say you've lived in your house for 20 years and your assessed value is $200,000 below market value because of the cap. You sell that house and buy another house in Florida. You can transfer up to $500,000 of that benefit to your new home. So you immediately get a big reduction in your assets or your assessed value at your home. It's brilliant, to be honest with you. It rewards people for staying in Florida and moving within the state. State number 3, Nevada. Nevada is taking a direct approach, but it's just as aggressive. Nevada passed a law that caps property tax increases to 3% for owner-occupied homes. Your tax can never go up more than 3% in a single year, no matter what happens to your home value. If the market goes crazy and your house doubles in value, your taxes only go up 3%. This protects homeowners from sudden spikes that could force them to sell. Now, Nevada also has what's called a partial abatement program. This is complicated because it's important. It's complicated, but it's important. So Nevada calculates your property taxes based on your home's assessed value, which is 35% of the taxable value. But then they apply a cap. If your tax bill would increase more than 3%, they reduce the assessed value to keep your increase at 3%. This creates something called the abated value, which is lower than the taxable value. Over time, if your home value keeps going up, the difference between your abated value and your taxable value gets bigger and bigger. You're paying way less than what you would pay without the cap. Let me give you an example. You own a house in Vegas, 2015, your taxable value was $200,000. Your assessed value was 35% of that. So $70,000, your tax bill of 3.5% was about $2,450. By 2025, your taxable value has increased to $400,000 because the market went up. Without the cap, your assessed value would be $140,000 and your taxable bill would be $4,900. That's a 100% increase. But because of the 3% cap, your tax bill can only be about $3,290. The state artificially lowers your assessed value to make the math work. Your savings is $1,610 a year, and this savings compounds every year. Nevada is also looking at broader property tax reform. There have been proposals to shift more of the tax burden to commercial properties and away from the residential ownership. The argument is that businesses benefit more from infrastructure and services, so they should pay a larger share. Casino resorts, shopping centers, office buildings, these property properties generate a lot of economy activity and put a lot of demand on public services. Why should homeowners carry the same burden? It makes sense. Will it happen? Maybe. Nevada policies are complicated. You've got Las Vegas, which is very Democratic, rural Nevada, which is very Republican. Getting them to agree on anything is very hard. But the conversation is happening and there's real momentum. Both sides agree that homeowners are being squeezed and something needs to change. State number 4, Arizona. Arizona has been steadily expanding its property tax relief program, especially for seniors. If you're over 65 in Arizona and your total household income is below a certain threshold, currently around $39,000 to $41,000, depending on the county, you can qualify for significant property tax relief. In some cases, you can defer your property taxes until you sell the house or pass away. Essentially, you don't have to pay them while you're living there. Now, let's say you sell your house and move to Florida. You buy a similar house for $400,000. With the $50,000 homestead exemption, you pay taxes on $350,000. With Florida lower rates, around 1%, and your Save Our Home cap, your property taxes are maybe $3,500 a year. That's $291 a month instead of $1,000. You just save $78 a month. That's $8,500 a year over 20 years. Now that's $170,000 you keep instead of giving to the government. And that's not even accounting for the fact that your New Jersey taxes would have to continue to go up every year, while your Florida taxes will be capped at 3% annual increases. That's real money. That's money you can use to travel, to help your grandkids, to enjoy your retirement, to live your life without financial stress. And it gets even better. Florida has no state income tax. So if you have a pension income or you're taking distributions from an IRA or 401k, you're not paying state income tax on that either. In New Jersey, you'd be paying up to 10.75% state income tax on your retirement. In Florida, 0. Let's say you're taking $40,000 a year out of the IRA. In New Jersey, you might pay $3,000 to $4,000 in state income tax. In Florida, nothing. And that's your property tax savings. And you're saving $11,000 to $12,000 in total taxes just to move from New Jersey to Florida. Over a 20-year retirement, that's $220,000 to $240,000. That's generational wealth. That's the difference between leaving your kids at an inheritance and leaving them nothing. Now, that's the difference between a comfortable retirement and a stressed, financial, insecure retirement. And I'm not saying everyone should move. Some people have family ties. Some people love where they live and don't want to leave. Some people have grandkids nearby and they'd rather pay the extra taxes than miss out on time with their family. I do get it. I understand. But you need to understand what you're paying for so you can make an educated decision. You need to do the math. If you're staying in for a high tax state and costing you $10,000 to $15,000 extra a year, is it really worth it when you could fly into town and spend a month and probably have much better time? Do that once or twice a year. Only you can answer that. But at least know the numbers. At least make an informed decision. Don't just stay somewhere because you're always been there. Don't just accept a tax burden without considering your options. Here's another thing people don't think about. Property taxes are not just about the rate. They're about the trajectory. In higher tax states, property taxes are up every year. Your town needs more money for schools. The town needs more money for employee pensions. Your town assess goes up because the market went up. Every year your bill gets bigger. It's relentless. In 10 years, your $12,000 tax bill could be $18,000 to $20,000. Could you afford that? Or on a fixed income? Most people can't. But in Florida, states like Florida or Texas, these caps are frozen. Your taxes stay stable, or your growth very slowly. They might go up a little, but they can't explode. You have predictability. You can budget. You can plan. That's peace of mind, and it's priceless. When you're on a fixed income, you need you need to know what your expenses are going to be. You're not lying awake at night wondering if you're able to pay or afford your next tax bill. Let me also talk about what you should be doing politically if you care about this issue. If you live in one of the 8 states, get involved. Support the politicians who are pushing for property tax relief. Vote for ballot initiatives. Show up at town hall meetings and your county commissioner meetings. Make sure your voice is heard. Politicians respond to pressure. If they know their constituents care about property tax, they'll act. If they think nobody's paying attention, they'll do nothing. Or they'll even raise the taxes. In Texas, property tax relief has become the dominant political issue because voters made it one. They showed up, they voted, they threw out politicians who weren't addressing the problem. And now every politician in Texas they have a position on property taxes. That's how change happens. Not by sitting at home complaining, but get involved. And if you live in a state that's not on this list, start making noise. Demand property tax relief, demand reform. Look at what these other states are doing and ask why your state can't do the same. Write to the state legislators, call their offices, organize your neighbors, start a petition. The only way things change is if people demand change. Don't just complain about your taxes at the dinner table. Take action. Now let me address something I know some of you are thinking. If we eliminate property taxes, how do we fund schools and services? It's a fair question. And the answer is there's plenty of other ways to raise revenue. Sales taxes, income taxes, but business taxes, fees for services. There are options. And hiring, and here's the thing. Many states that have low or no property taxes make up for it with other sources. And they do just fine. Taxes become a lien on a property that gets paid when the house is sold. Texas has no income tax, but higher sales tax. They have been oil and gas revenue. Florida has no income tax and uses sales tax and tourism taxes. Think about all the tourists who come to Florida every year. They stay in a hotel, they eat at restaurants, they shop, they rent cars. All of these generate sales tax revenue. Nevada has gambling revenue from Las Vegas and Reno. Alaska has oil revenue and actually sends every resident a check every year from their oil fund. States figure it out. And honestly, when you eliminate or reduce property taxes, you force the governments to be more efficient. They can't just automatically increase everyone's property taxes every year to cover their budget shortfalls and their pet projects. They have to make tough choices. They have to prioritize. They have to cut waste. Now, that's a good thing. Government should have to justify every single dollar, and they should be transparent, just like families and businesses do. Here's what I want you to take away from this. Property taxes are a huge burden for millions of Americans. They're unfair, they're oppressive, and they're getting worse in many states. But there's hope. 8 states are making real action to reduce and eliminate property taxes or eliminate property taxes. If you're in one of these states, Take advantage of every program available. If you're thinking about moving, put these states at the top of your list. And if you care about this issue, get involved politically. This is a fight worth fighting. Your home should be a source of security, not a source of stress. You shouldn't have to worry about losing your home because you can't afford the taxes. You shouldn't have to choose between paying property taxes and paying your medicine and food, or your heat and electric. That's not the American dream. The American dream is owning your home, really owning it, not renting it from the government through property taxes. I'm going to give you a step-by-step plan that you can implement starting today. Step 1, find out what states you're in and what programs are available right now. Go to your county tax assessors and website. Every county has one. Look for information about homestead exemptions, senior exemptions, disability exemptions, veteran exemptions, agricultural exemptions, any and all exemptions. Read through the eligibility requirements. See what you qualify for. This research will take you maybe an hour, and it could save you thousands of dollars every year. Step 2, apply for every exemption you qualify for. Don't wait. Don't procrastinate. Most exemptions require you to file an application by a certain deadline, usually March 1st or April 1st, for the following taxes year. If you miss the deadline, you have to wait another year. Download the forms, fill them out, gather the required documentation, and submit them. If you're not sure how to do it, call an assessor's office and ask. They're there to help you. Step 3, if you're thinking about relocating, especially for retirement, do the math. Make a spreadsheet. List your current state in these 8 states. For each state, calculate your estimated property tax, state income tax, sales tax, any other relevant tax. Factor in the cost of living, healthcare costs, proximity to family, climate, everything that matters to you. Look at the total picture. You might find that moving to one of these low tax states could save you $15,000, $20,000, $25,000. That is huge. Step 4, talk to a tax professional or a financial advisor who understands the tax implication of moving to a different state. Now, there are other factors beyond property tax. These things like estate tax, inheritance tax, capital gains tax on the sale of your home. You want to look at the whole picture. Don't make a decision based on one factor. Get professional advice. Step 5, if you decide to move, visit the states you're considering. Don't just move wherever because the taxes are low. You have to actually like living there. Spend a week or two in each state. Talk to people. Check out neighborhoods. Maybe your friends and family on Facebook, they live in those states. Ask them questions. Look at the housing prices. See what the healthcare system is like. Make sure it's a good fit for you. Step 6, get politically active. If you want property tax relief, you have to support the politicians and the policies that will make it happen. Find out who your state legislators are. Find out where they stand on property tax reform. Vote for the ones who support relief. Volunteer for their campaigns. Donate money if you can. Show up at hearings. Submit written testimony. Make your voice heard. Step 7, share this information with people you care about that might be considering the same thing. Most people have no idea that these programs exist, and the states are moving to eliminate property taxes. Tell your friends, tell your family, tell your neighbors, tell your people at church and your community centers. Help them save money as well. The more people who know about this, the more pressure there will be for reform. Step 7. You can start today. And the sooner you start, the more money you'll be saving and more impact you'll have. I've been interested in real estate and building wealth for many years myself. I've seen every market condition, at least that I think, every tax environment, political shift. Not that I've experienced it personally, but you're just able, you do a little research, you can see these things. And I have owned property in high tax states like New York. I can tell you absolutely certainly, with certainty, that where you live matters more than almost anything else when it comes to building and preserving wealth. The state you choose can cost you or save you hundreds of thousands of dollars in your lifetime. Don't be passive about this. Don't just accept whatever tax bill shows up in the mailbox. Don't just assume that's what it costs to live where you're living. Take control, get informed, understand your options. Take action. You work too hard for your money to let the government take more of what you deserve. Please subscribe. I'm trying to build this show, and I do appreciate it. Leave a comment in the comment section. Let me know what you believe and what you think. And maybe I'm off track. Maybe I don't know what I'm talking about. That's fine. We can have a discussion. Be safe. Be kind to others. Being kind doesn't cost you a penny. Have a great rest of your day. God bless.